Hi, this is Lamont Glass and Jim Epperly from Blackbird Training Group. We're looking at protective gear for hands today. And this is kind of a broad overview from, like the lightest to the heaviest protective gear that we use in the club. And we'll provide recommendations about where to get some of the stuff for the real specialty stuff, but just kind of like what we use them for. We get a lot of beginners who come in and they're like, they just don't know what kind of gear that they should be getting for. And then even once you get gear, then you're like, oh, well maybe I want to use something else for this particular situation. And these are all going to be kind of in reference to weapon fighting. We're not talking boxing. So there's no boxing gloves or MMA gloves in here right now. This is all with regard to weapon sparring at different levels. And we'll go ahead and just start with the lightest end on this one. So this is like a Mechanix MPact2 glove. I use this one for knife sparring. And it's super light, and for some reason it's not, okay. Right. Super minimal. I hit you in the fencing mask. I don't get cheese grated on my fingers. And that's about it. Like this has a little bit of hard protection on the fingers there. It's not designed to take impact, right?
Despite the name.
Yeah, right. So this is designed like if I'm turning a wrench and I wang it into something sharp, like or metal, like I don't cut myself. And that's about all the protection it offers. For knife sparring, that's all I need, right? It's not designed to take massive impact. And again, most of it is I'm stopping cheese grating on the head. It's just a work glove. A leather work glove would do basically the same job.
This is like a 10-year-old military style hatch glove, I think is what they used to call it. It's so you don't knock your knuckles going in and out of the hatch on a Humvee. We got these on clearance somewhere for super cheap, which is kind of one of the requirements for FMA gear, I think. It has, from here to here, it has a little bit more protection, but the fingers actually have less protection than those mechanic gloves. Again, for what it does, it keeps my fingers and skin off of the mask, and it stays on relatively well. Pretty much the basic knife sparring glove.
This is a Combat Instruments Limited, Bloodsport.com light sparring glove. I consider it a light sparring glove. They may actually have something lighter on there. And this is designed for rattan sparring, Dog Brother style. This is a very low level of protection. It is not, there's very little protection in here, lighter than most of your even entry level lacrosse gloves. And so this is kind of runs the lower end of what people are using there. For kind of light rattan sparring, it will do the job fine. You're gonna know about it, and you're gonna want to be a person who knows how to move their hand if you're gonna run these gloves. Because if you're in a club that does hand hunting, and we do a lot of hand hunting, you're gonna feel it if you have these gloves. Great gloves, just buy them for the right purposes. We've had people in the past buy them for a club, and they're like, I'm gonna upgrade. Like, what is that? And they'll go ahead and move up and upgrade.
They kind of like know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, so as we move up, right, then this is an entry level lacrosse glove. I think I bought this for like $30 way back when, and this is like, I joined lacrosse, what's the cheapest entry level lacrosse glove I can get, and this is basically what that is. More protective than the KAL glove. I'll use it for rattan sparring. This is my Dog Brother fighting glove. A little bit more protection than this one, but there's nothing hard on it. There's no hard plastic. It's just soft and takes a shot. But lacrosse gloves are designed to take impact. That's what they're there for. And if you had to pick one thing that is a decent lacrosse glove as an entry level for your club, like for rattan sparring, an entry level lacrosse glove is the first glove we recommend. Just to get people going. There's enough protection that they can do the activity relatively safely. But
good wrist mobility.
Yeah, good, right? So you want and I've lost my string over the years here holding that together, but that I can move this around. And again, this is our normal entry level for the club as a lacrosse glove.
So when you start getting into the HEMA world, this is kind of one of the more entry level saber or basket hilt broadsword fencing gloves. This has like a carbon fiber reinforced knuckles and a little bit of, I think this is hard, and then these are little foam inserts on the back, so it kind of covers. Usually this doubles over whatever you have as your normal forearm protection. So these are pretty well armored on the wrist, basically. What we're primarily doing is basket hilted broadsword, so access into that basket was super important. So then the rest of the protection was way less important. When you have that big basket and force field that ends up being a bunch of your protection, the next thing that people are going to start hitting is your forearm. So these gloves are pretty cool. They help kind of mitigate that a little bit, and they're small enough that even in relatively cramped baskets, these still fit. But these are a pretty good glove. They're durable. They're quite a few years old, and they're only kind of just starting to wear in a few little spots.
I think product is it's called like a basket hilt or a single stick and rapier glove from Purple Heart Armory is I think where we got that one. Okay, so this is sort of the if you go older, just before lacrosse was as popular, this was kind of the first entry level. This is a hockey glove. Impact resistance is way more than this is, right? I mean, you can see the size difference. This plastic is harder. This happens to be a much bigger version, but you can see how much of the forearm it covers compared to a smaller lacrosse glove. It's not as mobile. This is a much bigger glove. There's a lot of space for me to move around that way. But this is pretty big and bulky. For the protection it's giving you compared to some other modern gloves, it's out there. I'm pretty certain I picked this up at Goodwill for $5, post hockey season. So as an entry level, like, hey, I don't have a glove, great, here, have a glove. This is what we use this for in the club. I don't think anybody who buys their own gloves is actually using a hockey glove in there. But as a loaner glove, for someone who's never done it before, that you can whack them in the hand really hard, that's what we use these for. But again, some people are still running these, and you'll see these. So next two are kind of the equivalents, right? So these are both HEMA products, or came out of the HEMA world. This is a Red Dragon glove. This product's been around a long time. This one's a relatively newer version. I'm still breaking it in. This is kind of my standard in the club, is my Red Dragon glove. It's small, right? It's basically an upper arm lacrosse glove in terms of size. It has metal plates on the outside here.
Plastic. Pretty sure they're plastic.
Anyways, the plastic plates out. But hardened gloves, like you can take like real impact to the fingers there, and even with something that's not rattan, and you don't really feel it. And it's got a hardened piece out here on the knuckles, just so you don't pick up anything there. And then after that, it's sort of hard plastic back here and a little bit of wrist protection coming across here. This is kind of my standard for club sparring. I like my hands, so and it'll let me know when I get hit. It isn't gigantic, like something like this, where it feels like this is my entire forearm. So it's a relatively small product. Durability wise, like my last pair is at least 6 years old. It's admittedly on its last legs, but it's all broken in, so I'm still fighting with it. There are issues with these plates kind of wanting to break off because they're stitched around the edges, and it's harder to hold them in, and these plates tend to want to come up. So there's some known quality issues with some of the Red Dragons these days.
There were the first gloves that came out that were kind of that hybrid of a hockey glove and then like something that was almost some of the really expensive bespoke HEMA stuff, or the really up tier stuff. So yeah. Those I had a pair of those. I think I had their first generation, just because I was really focused on protecting my hands.
Yeah. I've used these for rattan, polymer, right? These are fat enough to take or protective enough to take the impact from like fast moving polymer. I still don't like with steel. If I have a choice, I don't want to use steel with these. Again, maybe in a basket hilt, but then size-wise, like for most of the basket or rapier stuff, these actually don't fit into the baskets very well. So you're relying on the protection of the guard, as you should, to protect your hand that way.
And these are from HF Armory. They are kind of the spiritual successor, I guess, to those. They have the hard plate fingers, which is kind of one of the hardest parts if you think about protecting, because they have to be articulated but relatively small. These and those both give you a lot of protection in a small space because they're using hard plastic on the outside and then a little bit of foam on the inside. Whereas say these hockey gloves is like 3/4 of an inch of foam to try and get the same level of protection. One thing that's good about these is if you're doing a little bit more mixed, we'll call it mixed energy sparring, where you might be punching somebody in the mask or whatever, or punching them in the body. There's no hard plates or anything else on that. So it protects you with hard plates where it needs to, specifically the thumb and the fingers, but then where you'll actually be punching somebody is still foam and leather, and so you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. It's still a reasonable amount of flex. They stay on well enough. Like hockey gloves, like if I'm going to transition to a weapon while I'm sparring, I want to be able to dump these off and get to them. That's something that's easily to do. When you're using something like those, it's a little bit harder. So, or our next level of protection, these would be almost impossible to try and get off inside of a fight. So these are HF Armory's version of the clamshell, the Black Knight or something like that. I really like it when I'm holding on to a sword. I really like how there's almost nothing here that's not protected by hard plastic. The thumb, it's like a roly-poly. The thumb cap's over here, the only space that's open here is where the sword is. Like, these are super great. And then the bell on this, on the wrist end, is well enough that I can moulinet and do whatever I want and not have to worry about being limited in my wrist motion all that much. It's not perfect, but it's darn good as far as I'm concerned.
Kind of the equivalent, this is the Kvetun Xiphosura. It has a little bit less protection, actually, where he mentioned that he had hard plastic all the way to here. You can actually see where the palm of the thumb is a little bit exposed. That's actually padded, so just in case something sneaks into there. But you can actually see there's a very little gap this way, and that's probably a little bit hard to see. You'd have to work hard to sneak a shot in down there. So really, generally, very, very protective. Some people I've heard complain about the thumb articulation on these. I've been pretty happy with it. I haven't seen an issue. This was actually an early pair. It's actually custom fit to me, and I think they still do that. But mostly they're just small, medium, large, extra large, and you order them, kind of direct that way. I'm not sure who the current importer is. I know those you can get them through Purple Heart. I'm not sure who's importing the Kvetuns right now. So Kvetun is a Russian company, moved to Georgia after the war. HF is a Ukrainian company, and you can imagine that they have some shipping issues for some reason. So anyway, but these these are pretty much steel. I won't bust these out for a tan, but this is for steel sparring or like heavy polymer or something like that when we want to do that. So again, just super protective. But you pay for it, right? So this is probably, I'm gonna guess it's $225, $250. I think you're in the same range right there with those, right? But if you like your fingers, that's barely a copay. For what you're gonna pay to go to the doctor or the eventually surgeon or whatever to get this done. So as an investment, good investments. And all of these are compromises, right? In terms of what you can do with this. I'm not going to, naturally with these, I'm not punching people in the face with one of these, if you're kind of mixing stuff up. So great gloves, you'll pay for it. At the same time, it can limit some stuff that you want to do. Again, like I said, hard to transition to other weapons if that's what you're going to do. Drawing a knife out of your pocket, that thing, things that aren't going to happen with this, not going to happen. But great gloves. And again, the whole thing here is we just want to give you an idea of the range of different things. And I have 3 different sets of gloves in my bag. Well, actually I have 4. I have this one, I've got my Red Dragons, I have my lacrosse gloves, and I've got my Mechanix night gloves, right? I'll be swapping out gloves during matches, like, oh, we're doing that? Let me grab those gloves.
It's like a golf bag.
Yeah, right? Give me my 4-iron, and that's just one of those things, though. Do you have to do that? No, you could do most of your sparring with basic set of lacrosse gloves. Oh, I'm doing steel. Maybe is there a loaner pair of clamshells or something that I can use if we're going to try out steel, or even hard polymer. Like, you don't want to catch on a regular cross glove, you don't want to catch one of these across the fingers. You'll know about it if you don't break something. So a range of gloves. We'll put some links into where some of the stuff that's still available and not isn't completely generic into the video links below. So great, thank you.